My name's Helen Bailey, and I'd like to introduce you to my new book, which is called When Bad Things Happen in Good Bikinis, subtitled Life After Death and a Dog Called Boris.
She was the millionaire author who had it all.
It's such a waste of a life. You know, Helen had so much to give.
He was the widower who she thought had given her a second chance at love.
Ian didn't make any impression on me whatsoever, but opposites attract.
This is a story of deception, greed, lies.
It's a nightmare on your doorstep.
And murder.
This is the most downright evil, scheming reason to kill somebody.
The clues that gave him away.
There are certainly some anomalies I tend to call red flags.
Was she leaving the premises at that time?
No, I left her here.
You left her there?
How he turned from witness.
And then I started to think, well, she has gone.
To suspect.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Helen Bailey.
Are you joking?
And finally, murderer.
Did you kill Helen Bailey?
Real life after death is far more bizarre, more complicated, and quite frankly bonkers than any fiction plot that I could come up with.
St Albans Crown Court. After a 7-week trial, Ian Stewart has been found guilty of the murder of his fiancée, children's author Helen Bailey.
There are no winners in this. The family are absolutely devastated at Helen's loss.
Police say while she was planning her marriage, he was planning her murder. He'd killed her and dumped her body, plus that of her beloved dachshund Boris, in a cesspit in the grounds of the £1.5 million home they shared. Both Helen and Stewart's families were in court for the verdict.
Our families have been devastated, and nothing can ever bring Helen back to us or truly right this wrong.
It was April 2016 when friend and neighbour Margaret Holson last saw Helen alive.
Just before I went away on holiday, which was just a couple of days before what happened to her, she came round here and as she left my front door, there was a lady came to my door and she turned to this lady who was a complete stranger and said, "This is my lovely friend who's always there for me and gives me hugs when I need them." And I've got that memory now to live with.
Helen disappeared from her Hertfordshire home and had been missing 4 days when her fiancé, Ian Stewart, first called police.
Hertfordshire Police, how can I help?
Hello there. My partner has been missing since Monday and not contacted anyone. Said she was going away, hasn't ended up where she said she was going. So we've just decided we should report it.
What's your partner's name?
Helen Bailey.
There are tens of thousands of missing person reports made to police every year, and the vast majority of those are resolved quickly after a few hours or a few days.
But this would turn out to be no routine case. In Helen's hometown, there was immediate concern.
I remember it was Friday evening that I saw the police cars going in the house. My first thought, oh my God, there's been an awful accident. The police would tell me, Helen is missing. I said, oh, has she been abducted? Has she been taken away? Are you searching the heath?
When we first heard that she'd gone missing, you met anybody up the high street and immediately the conversation would be around, where is your new neighbour? And when we saw the police up on the heath, I thought that they're wasting their time because we're all up on the heath. The heath is very used by dog walkers and golfers, everybody, but they were combing every area.
In his first phone call, Stewart was keen to convince police Helen had left of her own accord. He told them she'd left a note saying she'd gone to their holiday cottage in Broadstairs on the Kent coast.
She left a note. She said in the note something like, I need space and time alone. I'm going to Broadstairs. Please don't contact me in any way. But in Broadstairs, we've got a cottage down there, but people have been down there with neighbours, and she's not there. Hasn't been there either.
Helen had owned her cottage in the writer's paradise of Broadstairs for 15 years. It was a place she loved.
Quite a few people from other places, they come here to have anonymity. Most likely, if you want to keep to yourself, it's ideal here. And also, there's a nice beach to walk the dog along.
But there was no sign of Helen, despite Stewart claiming her family had tried to find her.
And someone's been to the cottage and
Someone's been to the cottage, yeah. My brother went there.
Did it look like anyone had been in there?
No, someone went in and it doesn't like anyone's been in there.
Did Helen go in a vehicle?
No, she didn't. She left her car here. She did take her dog with her. She's got a little dachshund. But she could get there by train or she could possibly take a taxi. She does do that sort of thing.
Stewart did concede that the relationship had hit a rocky patch.
And was that note a bit of a shock? Were you expecting it at all?
No, I wasn't. Well, yes, it was a shock. She has talked about it, but it was still a shock.
Yep.
She has talked about wanting space because things just haven't been going well for her recently, or for us.
Okay, so she mentioned wanting space, but she'd never actually acted on it. She'd not left before.
She'd never done anything like this before, no.
Okay.
He had little choice but to say that the relationship wasn't going very well, because otherwise, how could he explain Helen's disappearance?
I would never put them together. I didn't see any, as they call it, displays of outward affection.
Helen's disappearance prompted police to search the area.
Can I leave this with you then?
Stewart had paid for missing posters to be printed, and Helen's brother made a TV appeal.
Helen, if you see or read this appeal, please let someone know you are okay. I know you had said that you wanted some time and space, and we don't want to intrude on that unless you want us to. We'll do anything you need us to. All we need is for some information that you are okay, even if that comes from someone you know and trust. Please let someone know.
But were there clues in that first phone call to police that were already giving Ian Stewart away? He struggled to give the most basic details.
And what's her date of birth?
Oh, crikey. God, she phoned me there. 22nd. Right, just let me double check. 1 second. Oh, God. Sorry. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just double checking you.
Why had he waited to report her missing?
The 4-day delay could mean a couple of things. It could be, it's 4 days now and I'm getting worried. The other reason, of course, could be that he needed those 4 days to make the preparations for reporting it and to fix up the kind of alibi or the false trail he was laying down.
22nd of August, 1964. Sorry, my brain just went, sorry.
He's trying to brigade the support of the police here, and he said sorry. I've counted around about 8 or 9 sorries in terms of his language. Apologetic, it's politeness. Over politeness is an indicator of deception.
And her eye colour?
Oh my God, how do you forget these things? Sorry, God, that's terrible.
People can get panicked, they can be anxious in these sorts of situations, but not knowing the colour of her eyes, not knowing the date of birth, these are basic things that he should have known.
In the call, Stewart began to cast doubt on Helen's mental well-being.
Are there any specific concerns? Suicide or self-harm, anything like that?
Well, I would say no, but she has been very, very anxious and very worried about lots of things, and she is a warrior. She's a natural warrior.
Okay.
No one case, is identical to another. There are certainly some things that you tend to see across cases, and then there are some cases where you have anomalies, and those anomalies I tend to call red flags. And in this case specifically, red flag could be waiting 4 days before reporting to the police that your loved one is missing.
This may sound silly, but she's definitely not at home, no?
No, brother last night, I've literally checked everywhere. We have got quite a large house, but I've literally checked everywhere.
It could also be in terms of the actual language used.
And her phone is just dead. It's not, well, I say dead, it just doesn't ring.
Distancing or dropping pronouns.
She said nothing to you then. Was she leaving the premises at that time?
No, I left her here.
You left her there. You might leave inanimate objects. You might leave a dog. You might leave a child, something that's helpless. But why would you leave a grown-up partner there? Or she stayed there, but he chose to say, I left her there. And that raises a few suspicions.
Helen had moved to Royston 3 years after meeting father of two, Ian Stewart.
Helen was a beautiful, classy, intelligent lady. She made us all feel special. She had that effect on us.
The couple had been brought together through grief. Helen met Stewart through a bereavement site. Helen's husband had drowned on holiday in 2011. Stewart's wife had died the previous year due to an unexpected epileptic fit. Police will now look into the death of Stewart's first wife, Diane, although they say there's nothing to suggest anything other than natural causes.
When people go through traumatic loss, which they both had done independently, these people can feel very different from the rest of the general population because they've experienced something so traumatic. They often feel that other people won't understand them or they won't be able to share their experience. So there's an immediate connection.
Helen, already a successful children's author, had been writing a blog about her loss.
Believe me, I know what it's like to feel the unrelenting pain of searing grief, to long to spontaneously combust in front of the Meal for One section in M&S, to stand in the park and scream into the sky, "Where are you?"
But after meeting Ian, she turned it into a book, dedicated to him.
And finally, this book is dedicated to my gorgeous grey-haired widower, Ian Stewart. Bibi, I love you. You are my happy ending.
From nowhere, Helen had thought she'd found her second chance love. The couple settled into a new life and a £1.5 million house in the country with Ian's two sons, now in their 20s.
Helen came from London, described herself as being a bit of a London girl, but she also described us all as being so friendly round here and she'd never had neighbours like it. Although she was the person who actually got all the neighbours together because she invited everybody round at Christmas. And really lovely. She was lovely.
2 years later, and after a week with no sign of Helen, police interviewed Stewart as a witness and recorded it on camera.
At some point I saw the note on my desk from Helen.
Had Stewart already gone from being concerned lover to suspected killer?
The longer the time went on, the more we began to think something horrible had happened to Helen. We have all been searching for her, looking for her, and all the time she was just a few yards away from me.
The picturesque town of Royston in Hertfordshire was being searched for any trace of missing author Helen Bailey.
When Helen Bailey was reported missing in April, it was quite a shock locally because she was quite well known in the area.
But neither police nor Helen's friends were aware of the gruesome truth or her fiancé's involvement.
My first message to her after the police had visited me. Hi Helen, I've just returned from my week away at Centre Parks up in the Lake District with grandchildren, etc., and discovered that you've gone off somewhere to be on your own for a while. Which is okay if you're okay, but since you've been away so long and I've not heard from you, I'm now very concerned for you. Please get in touch with me and let me know how you are. I need to speak to you and give you a big hug. You know I'm a good listener.
As the search continued, police began to widen their investigation.
The likelihood is we're looking here for somebody who's going to turn up dead rather than alive.
While officers were combing the heathland looking for evidence, forensic teams were examining Helen's last movements, scrutinising her personal belongings in the house.
The police being involved, they ask questions, they visit the home, they're looking for things that are out of place. They'd be interested in the victim's diary or, has she just gone off her own volition? Is this unusual? Is it usual behaviour, or is there actually something more sinister to this? And probably alarm bells were ringing relatively early on in this case because of who she was and because of what he said. But things have to play out in a certain way. And, if somebody's still alive, there's a window, again, of intervention and opportunity there.
Having failed to find any trace of Helen, police interviewed her partner, the last person to see her alive.
From what I understand, from what we've discussed, is that Helen was last seen on Monday, the 11th of April. Would like you to take me through what happened that day.
This is where I can't remember very well. I'll tell you what I can remember. She went out in the car just to get some milk or something, milk and bits, but came back almost instantly. I was upset because something had happened. She said, I'm never going to drive again.
Quite frankly, if you've got this situation where a 51-year-old lady has vanished off the face of the earth and you're her partner, you're going to be under suspicion.
Police asked Stewart about his movements in the hours after Helen vanished.
The day she goes missing, he goes to watch his son play bowls in the evening, and he has dinner with his son. There's no mention of Helen.
Stewart claimed his memory of the day Helen disappeared wasn't clear.
And at some point I had to dash out because I was late, so I could see I could be late, so not dash out. I'm pretty sure Helen waved goodbye to me. But when I think back, I'm not so sure. So maybe she did, maybe she didn't. So I was in a rush then. So then I went, and I can't remember what I did, what order I did this in. But I definitely ended up at the doctor's at some point. And when I woke up, I was sort of woozy. I felt a bit like I'd been on morphine in hospital. And I remember thinking, should I be driving? But obviously I did. So I either went to the doctor's or the dump, or maybe I went to the dump next day.
There's a richness to do with him commenting on his own state. I was woozy, maybe I shouldn't drive. And those we often see in credible, truthful statements. So if this guy is lying about what happened this day at this point, then he's embedding the lies in maybe a lot of truthful statements. So much of this can be verified to visit to the doctors and the solicitors. So he's using truth as a screen, but in between we're getting these lack of memory pieces which are giving him away.
After his interview, Stewart turned to police and asked, "Am I still the main suspect? I must be a suspect." The police officer told him he was still simply a witness. As police looked around the house, Stewart was shadowing the officer's every move.
Certainly him following the police around and asking questions of what they're doing, it's something that, he's inserting himself in the investigation and trying to lead them and manipulate them in certain ways and to try and understand what their next steps are.
But 2 months later, Stewart made an extraordinary decision. He flew to Mallorca to take a holiday Helen had originally booked as a romantic getaway.
Going on holiday when your loved one is missing is really unusual, particularly if it's a holiday you had planned with them. There would be so many things going through your mind if you were on that holiday about what you would be doing together, what you could have done together.
Before he went away, police asked to carry out a search of the house. Stewart refused, but did give permission for them to remove electronic devices.
Looking at the kind of digital footprint that everybody leaves these days in terms of banking, credit cards, social media, telephone, that sort of thing, and trying to find any hint of where she is. Now, when that, after 48 hours or so of doing that, everything comes back negative. Nobody's seen her, nobody's heard from her. She hasn't used her phone, she hasn't used her bank account. They then start to get more suspicious.
A forensic examination of Helen's iPad revealed she'd been researching wedding venues prior to her disappearance. But she'd also been feeling increasingly unwell and had been seeking medical advice online. However, after 10:51 a.m. on the 11th of April, the day she went missing, all internet and phone activity stopped.
So you start to focus then back towards the house and say, do you know, there is a greater chance now that what we're being told isn't the truth.
As police probed the couple's relationship, they discovered it was a whirlwind romance driven by Stewart, later described in court as love bombing. Even their first meeting was a surprise to Helen, when Stewart turned up at her home unannounced.
For 20 plus years she's been living in London. This man, Ian Stewart, comes on the scene and turns up unannounced after they've been sharing emails, and he starts to be all the things that she wants in a new partner. This was somebody who did want to push boundaries right from the start. Even when they first get together, he has turned up unannounced on her doorstep. And some people might think that's romantic, and you know, this is a great thing in terms of the blossoming of a new relationship. But is it? Or is it somebody who is much more looking to test somebody's boundaries, and actually it becomes a whirlwind relationship and things move very quickly, and unfortunately it ends with catastrophic consequences.
In July 2014, Helen changed her will, making Ian Stewart the main beneficiary to her £3 million estate. She also took out life insurance on herself, which would pay Stewart a further lump sum.
The fact that she's so wealthy and has property and money behind her makes it more interesting for police in that it gives a motive.
Neighbour Mavis helped Helen to prepare the new will.
We signed Helen's temporary will. I had no idea how wealthy Helen was. She didn't flaunt it in any way whatsoever.
Both of them are concerned about dying early, and that's no surprise given that they both had partners where that happened. But I would fully expect in a situation like this that he is sort of levering on those sort of concerns that she has, sort of pressing her, but probably in a very subtle and covert way, so that it then becomes her idea to change the will and that he becomes the beneficiary.
Helen had also put plans in place should she become seriously ill. She'd granted Stewart and her brother power of attorney over her affairs. With growing evidence that Ian Stewart now had a clear motive to kill his fiancée, the police decided to arrest him.
Making the call to take that one step further, that suspicion or that possibility, into making a real suspect of somebody close to the victim, that's a very big step to make, because if you get it wrong, then that person will have this kind of smear on their character for the rest of their life, and also the rest of the investigation becomes difficult if you've alienated the victim's family and friends.
Soon after Stewart returned from his break in the sun, he was brought crashing down to earth.
Hey, it's Daddy. He's asleep upstairs. Is he? Yeah, can you wake him up? Is that all right?
Exactly 3 months after Helen's disappearance, Hertfordshire police arrived at Stewart's door to arrest him for the murder of his fiancée.
Arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Helen Bailey.
Are you joking?
Had the gruesome truth finally caught up with Helen's gorgeous, grey-haired widower?
I said, it might be a stupid thing to say, but of course you know about the well.
3 months after author Helen Bailey had gone missing, and no body had been found, the town of Royston was on tenterhooks.
This is not just your run-of-the-mill murder. This is an extraordinary story. There have been revelations constantly. It's all anyone around here can talk about.
And then her fiancé, Ian Stewart, was arrested for her murder.
Hey, it's Daddy. He's asleep upstairs. Is he? Yeah, can you wake him up? Is that all right?
The arrest was captured on a police body camera, At 7 a.m, one of his sons answered the door.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here? No, just us.
An unsuspecting Stewart came downstairs in his dressing gown.
Yeah. Oh, well, don't know. How did you get it? They were kind of banging the doors. Oh, morning, Ian. How are you? Okay, we've got a warrant to search the address. Do you just want to listen to what the sausage's got to say?
Some word on debating, Stuart, okay? I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Helen Bailey.
You're joking?
And of disposing of her body in a manner to likely to instruct the coroner and theft of money of Helen Bailey. Okay, so you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So what's really interesting here is this is 7 a.m. in the morning and he's just being told that he's arrested on suspicion of murder, which suggests the lady of his life, his fiancé, is dead. And his reaction is so blunt.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Helen Bailey.
You're joking?
There's no shock, there's no horror, there's, oh my goodness, is she dead? There's no interest in Helen at all at this point, and that's highly unusual.
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, do you sit down?
Bloody hell, why? What's happened? You can't tell me. We can't discuss it.
We can't discuss it at the moment. We'll talk to you when we get to the police station, all right?
Where is she? So we can't talk about it further now. So why don't we pop upstairs, get you dressed, and then we can have a full discussion about this. Are the garage doors open? I don't do that.
The only time he starts to move towards Helen rather than himself is when he says, "Where is she?" And then he turns and comments on the garage door being open and the connection between the cesspit in the garage and where is she. Did he make that linkage consciously or subconsciously?
For close friend and neighbour Margaret, the arrest was a total shock.
No, I didn't suspect Ian. When the police arrested him, I really didn't know whether I was to back him up or to think the worst.
Ian Stewart was taken to Stevenage Police Station and interviewed under caution.
You're the last person to see her alive.
At the start of the interview with police, Stewart's lawyer issued a prepared statement on his behalf. It said, "I've spoken to the police on numerous occasions in relation to the whereabouts of Helen Bailey from April the 11th. I have nothing further to say."
You don't report her missing for 4 days. The following day, you go to Broadstairs. I don't know why. Why did you go there?
The police asked Stewart about all the evidence they'd found.
Did you see Helen on the 16th? Because according to the technical information we've got, her phone is in Broadstairs. And you're in Broadstairs. Was Helen there? She wasn't, was she? Or was she? You tell me.
But their prime suspect remained silent throughout.
Did you kill Helen Bailey? Did you intend to kill her? Or was this an accident? What happened?
On the advice of his lawyer, Stewart even stayed silent when asked about things he'd told police at his first interview on camera.
Was that duvet taken to the tip because it had Helen's blood on it?
He'd previously told detectives...
Well, I remember bits of it. The first bit I remember is we loaded the car, or Helen loaded my car, with an old duvet and some boxes ready to take to the dump. So I went to the doctors or the dump, or maybe I went to the dump next day. Came that bit, I'm not sure.
But again, he said nothing.
She had died. She had been murdered in your house. As part of that clean-up operation, you took that duvet to the dump. That's quite a big accusation for me to make to you, isn't it? Would you agree?
The interview really becomes a ritual of the police officers putting the facts that they know in the form of questions and somebody saying no comment to it. The kind of evidential value of that is really debatable.
The evidence against Stewart was mounting, but police still couldn't prove Helen had been murdered.
Did you just lose control, just lose it? Some big argument and you killed her, and you've been covering up ever since? Because if that's what's happened, you need to tell us now.
It was crucial they found her body. Could the footage recorded during Stewart's arrest provide the clue they needed?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
It does seem incongruent that on the one hand he seems quite smart and together, you know, and quite a plausible person, but on the other hand, criminally, he's doing things that are sort of basic blunders or gaffes, almost like a sign to the police saying, don't look in the garage, but look in the garage. You know, it's a very obvious thing.
Is that why the garage door's open? Is that
That's not doing
You know, he's not a criminally sophisticated person.
Police recreated the crime scene in virtual reality, which gave them a complete overview of Helen's home. Now, potentially the scene of a murder. Neighbour Mavis Drake had known the building for over 20 years and revealed the garage hid a secret.
One police officer came out and they tried to sort of say, what do you want? What do you want? You shouldn't be in here. This is a crime scene. I said, it might be a stupid thing to say, but of course you know about the well.
Right until the last moment, I was hoping she would still be found alive. That's all you can do is hope.
The old well had been converted into a cesspit concealed below a manhole cover in the garage.
The worst thing that we could have feared had happened. It really impacted on me, and it still does, because I've been texting her and trying to get her to contact me, only to find that there she was, about 40 yards away from me.
The police excavated the cesspit, revealing Helen Bailey's body and that of a miniature dachshund, Boris.
Desperately sad that she had this horrendous death.
Finally, nearly 100 days after she went missing, Helen Bailey had been found. Ian Stewart was formally charged with her murder. Helen's brother later revealed to police that the cesspit had been a subject of jokes at the Bailey-Stewart household as a good place to hide a body.
It's like a story, but it's real. And then you have this feeling that every time you look out of your window, you're looking at their house. It's just something you kind of look at and can't take your eyes from at time, and wondering what did go on there all that time when you thought superficially you were seeing a happy couple, and weren't they a happy couple?
Months later, as Ian Stewart went on trial, he would conjure up yet another twist to this tale. The body of children's author Helen Bailey had been found in a cesspit in the grounds of her home. Her fiancé, Ian Stewart, was on trial for murder. On day one, the court was told that Helen Bailey and Ian Stewart had planned to marry, but if she died before the wedding, then Stewart would get the house and a large chunk of her money. Reporter Jack Hardy attended every day of the trial.
Ian Stewart, throughout, was quite an interesting character to watch in the doc. He would sit there and he would sort of quietly, calmly listen to a lot of what was being said. There were these strange moments where he would appear upset. You know, you'd see him put his head in his hands. What really came through a lot of the time is that he came up and didn't appear to have tears in his eyes at all.
It wasn't just reporters in the court. Friends and neighbours were also following the case avidly.
A couple of neighbours and myself went to the trial just because we felt we needed to just see Ian and what was happening and how he was and what he looked like, because he looks completely different now.
The prosecution claimed Stewart murdered Helen, probably by suffocation, between 10:51 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. on the day he said she'd disappeared. A post-mortem revealed that there was no sign of a struggle or violence, but it did reveal traces of the sleeping drug Zopiclone in Helen's hair.
The scientific evidence from her hair, where this drug gets into the hair, and you can see that she's been having dosages of it at various levels for some months, and yet she's never been prescribed the drug. It's always been prescribed to Ian. Now, he explains this by saying, oh yes, she was taking my tablets. But of course, if the other evidence is, and the evidence is from her mother and friends, is that for months she's had this falling asleep during the day, and I feel all muzzy, I feel tired.
The drug, which had been prescribed to Ian, had already been found by police.
In many ways, it was the silver bullet that led to his conviction. Even if everything else is accounted for, how does his drug end up in her system unless he'd been giving it to her?
But if Stewart's plan had been to make Helen think she was ill, how had this led to her death?
It's very clear here that when he starts administering the drug, he has a clear thought process in mind that her not being quite so well or feeling like she's losing her mind would mean that he would probably get power of attorney. So that was probably his ultimate game plan.
Stewart claimed in court he loved Helen. The prosecution insisted his motive was money. They claim he moved cash from her bank account on the day he killed her.
On April the 11th, he moved money into a joint account on the day that she goes allegedly missing.
Police had put this evidence to Stewart during questioning under caution.
You will have benefited from her death, is that correct? Why do you say that? Financially, you would have benefited from her death, would you not say?
The officer puts to him that you're going to gain financially from Helen's death, aren't you? And he mumbles something like, we couldn't hear it clearly, mumbles something like, no.
Why do you say that?
So that's the only time that the officer's got a reaction out of him.
The defence insisted Stewart did not need Helen's money. In fact, he had more cash in his current account than she did. The court was then asked to examine Stewart's initial reaction to Helen's disappearance, and the fact he admitted lying about her leaving a note.
I think in court, Ian has been humiliated. For example, with the note that was fictitious, but also he had had time to mull over in prison. What could I say, or what can I come up with that might be believable, that might get me off?
Just when there had been enough twists in this remarkable story, Stewart dropped another bombshell in court. While in custody awaiting trial, Stewart claimed two men called Nick and Joe had come to his home, telling him they'd kidnapped Helen. He said they threatened to hurt her and his two sons if he told the police.
Stewart claims that they just took Helen one day. He came home and found an empty house, and then Nick, this menacing associate of Joe, showed up, attacked him, punched him where he knew he'd had an operation, and he said to him, "Helen is with us. She's coming to help us solve a problem." It was never made clear what that problem was. No demands were ever made of Stewart, but that was the last time he claims he ever saw his fiancée.
But during cross-examination, the prosecution introduced two people actually called Nick and Joe to the court. People who bizarrely matched the description Stewart had provided.
What he had essentially done is that he had based these two mystery men, these two fictional characters, Nick and Joe, on two real-life, perfectly innocent men called Nick and Joe that he knew from when he used to live in a Cambridgeshire village.
Despite overwhelming evidence that Nick, Joe and the kidnapping were complete fabrication, Stewart continued to insist they were the real culprits behind Helen's death.
I never believed for 1 second the story of the two supposed men that came along. I really don't understand how he didn't just own up to it, you know, and take his punishment.
I think that the whole defence that Ian Stewart came up with was absurd.
The prosecution reminded the jury of an early interview Stewart gave the police when Helen was missing.
Have you had any new visitors, anyone introducing themselves into your life, either by telephone or turning up house in person?
No one springs to mind at all, no.
So no one springs to mind, and then his eyes stay open and he focuses on the interviewer. Is he checking that he's being believed there?
Having failed to reveal the supposed kidnapping during earlier questioning, the prosecution closed in on the fact that Stewart would inherit a large portion of Helen's £3 million fortune.
To me, this case is quite clear-cut in the sense that people think that, you know, in a domestic violence homicide, that it's about someone losing control. But actually, this case is absolutely about someone taking control. It's at the point where he thinks that he is losing control of her and the situation that he believes that the answer is to kill her and to kill her dog, as the two have to be disappeared together. And that will bring him the ultimate thing that he wants, which is access to her estate and her finances.
Murder comes in different forms, and murder, you know, some people can be born evil, yes, I believe that, and some people can be just, you know, have a propensity to kill for fun or whatever. What we've got here is another sad case of domestic violence in all its forms.
This awful murder, this grisly murder, this talented author who'd supported so many people with her writing about bereavement had ended up herself in this fetid, undignified burial site underneath her own house.
The court heard Stewart was a devious killer who drugged and smothered his besotted bride-to-be. After deliberations, the jury unanimously convicted Ian Stewart of the murder of Helen Bailey.
I'd like to say that I'm very pleased with the verdict today. My opinion is that it's the right and correct verdict. However, there are no winners in this. The family are absolutely devastated at Helen's loss. The lies and deceit that Mr. Stewart offered during the course of our investigation really did hamper us. And of course, Ian Stewart's own family have been lied to and are extremely upset by the verdict and the lies that they've been told and that they've witnessed during the course of this trial.
I believe certainly from looking at lots of cases, people do kill for different reasons. There's different motivations. But in this particular case, he was driven by power and control. Power and control over Helen Bailey, power and control over her life, and ultimately power and control over her money.
I really can't imagine what must have been going through his head to have done such a thing. He's obviously a different person to the person I thought he was. With somebody that you're close to, it's just something unimaginable.
As Ian Stewart prepares to spend life behind bars, the tale of how he killed his fiancée, author Helen Bailey, is stranger than any story she ever wrote.
Real life after death is far more bizarre, more complicated, and quite frankly bonkers than any fiction plot that I could come up with.